everyone, and welcome to the Contingency Plan Podcast. My name is Jedi Master David. With me, as always, is Darth Austin.
Sorry, everyone. I need some water. It's very dry in his basement. Finally let me out. I'm really dehydrated.
Yeah, I don't think you've referenced that one in a very long time.
Well, luckily it's been a while since I've had to take a couple weeks off like this.
Yeah, 2 weeks. 2 weeks? Yeah, I guess
so.
It's been 2 weeks, yeah.
Both were my fault, right? I think they were.
Yeah, you were just picking up extra hours, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it was. But no, yeah, our last discussion was one of the High Republic books, wasn't it? I think that's what we were doing before. Obviously, after
Midnight Horizon, was it?
Yep, I think that was what we were. Yeah, I think that is what we left off with. Yeah, we got through Book of Boba Fett and then started doing some books, and then the Darth decided to just not be here. So. And
I decided I didn't want to have a life for a while. It was annoying, too, because that Monday after you dropped that, I'd actually gone through Rebirth in one day. Just finished the whole thing at once. I was ready to go. I was going to get like 3 listens in probably at that rate. And then the overtime, the monies. I was offered way too much money for what I was doing, and I just couldn't pass it up. So I was working like 14-hour days all through the week. It was a very long 2-week period.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, stacking the cash, there's nothing wrong with that. Didn't miss much. I only did one show in that time period. I didn't really. I mean, I've had things to do, so my weekends have been relatively busy. But I discussed a Kenobi trailer, did a short episode on that when that dropped. But yeah, I figured
you got all the comics, right? You guys caught up on every comic series, Vader and
I thought about
Bounty
it.
Hunters.
Yeah, I thought about it and just didn't do it.
Well, that'd probably be a solid 2-hour video. It's time consuming. I get it.
Well, it's been time, really. I've been, weekends have been busy. Weekdays have been relatively busy with work as well. So I haven't really had the extra time to really dedicate to that. But yeah, the comics, I don't know. I mean, I've continued to buy some of them. And but I really haven't been reading much in that line right now. They did switch over to the whole what is it, Crimson Dawn or storyline or whatever they're called. Crimson Reign, I think, is what they're calling it. So that's kind of the without reading it, and not trying to judge it harshly, but it sort of seems like the cop out of making like a Solo 2 or like a Kira movie, even though it was kind of hinted that they might do like a Kira show or something like that at some point, but I think that's probably more speculation than reality at this point. Could be wrong, but I kind of doubt it.
Yeah, unfortunately. I mean, I think we're going to have to accept that. Now, does that jump into post Return of the Jedi in Crimson?
I don't know. I don't know anything about it. I haven't started reading it.
Okay.
My assumption is that it just
research either.
I mean, my assumption is it just continued the storyline that we were already reading with War of the Bounty Hunters. So whatever time period that was, which was pre-Empire? Yeah, Empire Strikes Back, I think. Or post-Empire.
Well, post, because you're jumping into Han's Carbonite adventure, of course, but you can only prolong that so long before he thaws out, obviously. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, I actually don't even know how they wrapped that up, because we just kind of...
it's not been spoiled for me,
we both stopped. We just stopped reading it. It wasn't really bringing any joy to go through those comics. It was so much POV switching of the same event, and it just got kind of old.
The thing for me, if we had just had some different dialogue or perspective or something, but just it's the same comic 5 times in a row.
Yeah, really
wasn't entertaining at all.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we still have Trial of Shadows and what is it? I mean,
Got some Thrawn to go through.
well, yeah, eventually. Yeah, eventually we'll have to button back on the Thrawn book. And did we catch up on High Republic books?
Book-wise, we should. There is an audio drama coming out. Well, no, that's already come out.
Yeah, we
I think
decided
I mentioned
we're not
that last
doing
time,
that.
too. Yeah, we skipped that.
Yeah.
I think we are caught up for right now.
Okay. Well,
Maybe long enough to get Thrawn done, hopefully. And, of course, we're jumping into Kenobi here in about a month and a half. So
yeah, and I would like to get the Kenobi book in there, the non-canon Kenobi book.
Yeah.
In there too, just as sort of a prep for that show. But yeah, we're still trying to truck along, but yeah, there's just been a lot that's been going down for the most part. You know,
and I don't know about you, but I look forward to these nice little resets when we do New Jedi Order. Kind of has gone from the main focus of the channel to just getting back to basics after we get kind of cluttered with everything else. So I always look forward to it.
Yeah, that's true. And to that point, we are going to jump into Edge of Victory 2 Rebirth. And I think now is really where we start to get into kind of the fun points of this series. Because, like, I'll be honest, the first couple books were a little bit meh. It's been so long since we did Conquest that I barely
months ago.
Yeah, I barely remember much about it, but I do know that was kind of like the Yuuzhan Vong had sort of halted their attack, and they were effectively bribing the galaxy into giving up the Jedi. We introduced Tahiri,
Peace,
Peace
Brigade, and all that stuff.
Right, and we introduced Tahiri, who we hear more about in this book. She was almost transformed into a Yuuzhan Vong like slave thing. We see Nenyem, who is part of this sort of heretic view of shaping, which we'll hear more about her. We had that whole sequence where Anakin replaces the lightsaber crystal of his saber with one of those the Lambit crystals, the living creature crystals of the Yuuzhan Vong,
kind of
so
gives him the ability to sense the Yuuzhan Vong at that point.
Exactly. So yeah, and then essentially you have a Tahiri rescue, and that's kind of the book. And you guys, obviously these books are around, but there are audiobooks to these. They are, however, abridged. But I think that they get the point across. I don't think we've missed anything really.
This one kind of felt a little bit more on the short side for me.
Which is interesting because it's not the shortest read.
Yeah, I know. But like I even I slowed down the speed on this because I usually go around 1.3 to 1.5 speed when I'm going through these. And I don't know, it almost felt like it could have had an extra chapter in it as far as Audible goes. But all around, it felt like a concise story.
Sure. I mean, they generally keep those between 2.5 to, I don't even know if any of them have reached 3.5. But
I think we have with one.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty...
The solo one.
Okay.
Everything focusing on Han.
Yeah, that was actually a pretty good one from the beginning of the series. But
yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to jump back in here and kind of do a little bit of a reset. We'll sort of decide on what we do from here. Thrawn's a big boy. Even the physical book itself is a huge book.
It's like a 2-week prep book.
Well, it's just so indulgent. I mean, all the Thrawn books are, at least in the new canon, have been pretty indulgent books. And, you know, I don't necessarily want to go into anything like negatively, but I'm almost not looking forward to it as much as I have, even though I really liked the first one. The second one was a bit meh. So I'm kind of hoping that this book is great, but it's so big.
Daunting.
Yeah, it's a little daunting, so I don't know.
And the
We'll
longer we
see.
wait, the more blurry the other two books get for me. So
Sure.
I'm kind of thinking about going through those before starting Thrawn, which makes it even harder to think about. So, yeah, I don't know.
No doubt. So anyway, we'll get in the book here in a second, but I figured we'd get your reaction to the Kenobi series. I already dropped my thoughts, but so what did you think about the trailer for the Kenobi series?
And I gotta say, they packed a lot into a very, very short trailer. I think it clocks in at like a minute and a half total, and it just it makes me okay with the idea of him staying on Tatooine the whole time, which is kind of what you get from the trailer. It seems like he's not really leaving. Everything's pretty deserty. We get this cool start where it almost seems like, I don't know, Game of Thrones in a way. They have him dramatically looking through his little sight glass and walking through the desert and everything. And I mean, just getting into it, the Inquisitors are really exciting. I was really hoping they'd add them into it, but wasn't sure up until this point. A fight between the Grand Inquisitor and Kenobi. That's pretty exciting to think about.
Yeah. First thing, I actually viewed it a little differently. I think we will be off planet. I think that there's that sort of like steampunky kind of like what's the crappy game with Keanu Reeves?
Yeah, cyberpunk-ish.
Yeah, sort of
to
cyberpunk
it.
city. So I actually think we're going to go off planet. But you could be right.
Okay.
I mean, it's possible.
I guess I just kind of assumed that was how they introduced them, like a scene getting ready to go
Sure.
find him. But yeah, I mean, that would be fine too if they gave him a reason. I mean, they could find a million reasons, but I wonder why he would leave, obviously.
Well, I mean, they kind of say in there in some of the dialogue, it's basically like a Jedi is predictable. They're always going to help people.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, you could see potentially Kenobi like trying to avoid trouble, but I mean, really, when you get into A New Hope, he cut a guy's arm off, so he clearly doesn't
Yeah.
care about getting in trouble at that point. So I don't know. I mean, it'll be interesting to see, but like, I'll be interested if he actually does have any clashes with the Inquisitors. And I think that one of the things that a lot of people were talking about was, a showdown between Vader and Kenobi, which I don't think will happen. I don't think that there's any reason to do that, which is how you could bring in this, what was she, the second sister? Which sister was she? I have to look that up because it was the fifth brother there who we saw in the Fallen Order, Jedi Fallen Order with the kind of triangle hat.
Yeah, you had the fifth. I think you had the third and the seventh. The seventh was the larger
Or the seventh, okay. I never remember it.
sister that you end up like cutting her hand off at one point in a battle before beating her, and I can't think of the species that she was, but I think the third was your master's fallen apprentice, but I could be wrong there.
So the female one is Reva, or the third sister, played by Moses Ingram. Of course. Oh, what did you think about the Grand Inquisitor's look? Because I know a lot of people were like, hypercritical as a fifth brother. Fifth brother who is in Rebels, not That's what I meant. Was he was in Rebels opposite the seventh sister. So I don't know. But what do you think? What do you think of the Grand Inquisitor? Because a lot of people had a lot of things to say. Played by Rupert Friend, who I dub as the discount Orlando Bloom.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. Yeah, I guess I would have to kind of look up the Grand Inquisitor again to compare, but I didn't think it was terrible. The face paint was a little iffy. I don't think it was black in the series in Rebels or any other iteration of him, but it was okay. You know, I'm not like super on fire about it, but I don't hate it.
Well, I think most people, this is the same stuff that we saw with
Cad Bane.
Cad Bane, where they talk about these like super elongated cartoon faces. They're like, oh, hey, you remember that one time in like Revenge of the Sith when we saw those one guys who long faces? It's like, yeah, have you ever seen the actor? He's got an incredibly long face.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. I personally, I think it'll be better in the show because like I'll. Did you watch the new Batman movie?
No, but I've heard enough about it to know that I need to spend the time on it because everyone is losing their minds about it.
Well, I wouldn't lose my mind about it, but there is the part in the trailer where he like bangs on the glass like rah, rah, rah. But the thing is like in the movie it looked better, or it just like it was like almost one of those taken out of context things where it was really, I thought it was a really bad thing to put in the trailer, but in the movie it was fine. So I don't know. We'll see how he looks on the actual screen. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they do have a showdown. I would assume because they do seem to be spending a lot of screen time on Reva. That's probably going to be like the main person here. And like maybe we'll just see the Grand Inquisitor like maybe once or twice or something.
Barking orders at them, essentially, not actually going and doing anything.
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it would make more sense. I don't know. The more cartoon to big screen we get with like getting Ahsoka, Cad Bane, everyone else, the less I expect, I think, because I was kind of harsh with the design of Ahsoka with the not Leku, but essentially Leku, prosthetics of it, but it's never an easy transition going from a cartoon to live action, so I'm not as harsh as I used to be on it. I'm fine with it. I understand who the character is, and that's almost enough for me, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if it's like blatantly bad, I'll point it out, but I don't expect it to look perfect. I mean, the teeth are obviously not going to be the same, and a few other aspects of the character, so I'm not going to obsess about it.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I mean, I like I already said. I mean, I think it's interesting. Should be cool. Just kind of waiting for the trailer to come out. Yeah,
not too long now. We're getting there.
Not too long.
Slowly but surely.
No doubt. One other quick thing that I saw today was so Galaxy's Edge is breaking out the broken lightsaber from Fallen Order. They had
really?
Cameron Monaghan go down to Galaxy's Edge and kind of do some posy pictures with it, which is interesting that they're bringing him out because we had talked a little bit about the possibility of seeing Cal Kestis in live action.
Mm-hmm.
So that could be pretty, that I doubt that's like a sign of anything, but it could be interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, have you seen pictures of it?
No, I haven't. Let me look that up real quick. Lost potential that they could have had with that is kind of something that ties into the game. Having a kit that you actually get to build from a broken lightsaber to having the staff that's detachable into two blades.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, it'd be kind of
I'd also like to see a fully functional Inquisitor lightsaber for that matter, but I'm sure that would be, getting up there in like the $700-800 range. So,
yeah, to actually have that functioning,
it'd be a beefy motor to have it spin that fast.
Well,
not to mention the lawsuits of kids hurting themselves on it.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's probably where you're more than likely at. But yeah, so that was kind of a cool thing for them to unveil. Some of the internet lightsaber builders have had, similar hilts, but not necessarily with the really, broken end there. So I guess if you want something more, like accurate,
Yeah, I like the wrap of it. It is pretty realistic. I was never the biggest fan of his lightsaber personally. I like the aesthetic of it being broken, but like the guard around the blade to me was never really my favorite. But it is cool looking.
I don't mind the guard, but as a single blade lightsaber, that thing would be
It's so
like
short.
it wouldn't be comfortable at all.
Well, no, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of the extension they adds onto it. This portion of it is way too long, actually. The broken portion he actually ends up using.
I mean, it looks like it should have another blade on the end or something like that. But like, it's just like, so you have this hand wrap down here, but like, why would you put your hand there? There's so much more to the top of that.
And why do you need to wrap it after it's broken? Like, you're never going to touch a part that's
more than likely that
splintered.
was already there, I assume, before it was broken.
Why would you want that on a lightsaber? Just feels like it'd be slippery by the look of it. It's like a weird like fishnet material. I just don't like. I like the aesthetic of it.
I'm sure its
functionality
rubberized.
would be kind of crappy.
Functionality for sure, but I'm sure it's like rubberized grippy. But anyway, so there's that. Not a whole heck of a lot else going on though. I know that tickets have kind of started to go back on sale for Celebration. More than likely, I'm getting out of my tickets. I don't think I'm going too long. I'm kind of over it.
Yeah.
So that's probably not going to happen. But they did have extra tickets for sale. They had the VIP tickets. They had the standard passes and all that stuff. And, I think all that's sold out already. So...
Yeah, I mean, any event right now is so crazy. People are so excited to get back out there around people. I mean, we kind of take that for granted because we've been able to do that for a while, but some places they're just now able to do this again. So tickets are going like crazy expensive. It's matching inflation almost, and it's so hard to get anything unless you do it right away. I was surprised you actually got the tickets to the orchestra as cheap as you did. I would expect them to be a little bit higher. But
yeah, I mean, that's a little different, but it's not really all that bad for those sort of things. But
of course, they could gouge just because of the timing. Although I'm surprised they didn't try to go with the 4th on that instead of I believe it's the 6th, right?
I'd have to go back and look at when it
sure
is.
That was 6th.
Yeah, and all that is so at the Palace Theater in Columbus. So we're going to go see basically a screening with orchestral accompaniment of Empire Strikes Back. So that should be pretty fun. Palace is a really, really beautiful place. It's a great place to go see a show. So that should be really cool. But no, I mean, the only thing that I think, at least for Celebration, because it is in California, it does require vaccination now, apparently. There are a lot of people that are complaining about that, mainly because, they bought the tickets pre-pandemic, and it's like, well, there are people that aren't vaccinated, and that's fine. I don't really care one way or the other. But, so yeah, there's been a little bit of that going around, but we'll see. I'm sure it'll be a fun event for those who go. I'm not, again, I've kind of lost a little bit of interest in that. It's been 2 years effectively of holding on to those tickets, and it's just, there's nothing that I think the magic's gone a little bit out of it. Plus I don't really want to, have to pay for all the ancillary stuff. It was pretty cheap when we did Chicago, but Cali, I don't know.
Well, 2 years after spending that money, it's... You're going to be nitpicking every little bit of it now because you're just thinking about what you lost, essentially, which it wouldn't be a loss. I mean, you'd still get the experience, but it's kind of ridiculous how long you had to wait for it. So
yeah, a little bit. But anyway, that's news. Let's go ahead and jump in this book here. So Edge of Victory 2, Rebirth, New Jedi Order, 2001.
Yeah, this is the last book that I actually remember vaguely the story of before it kind of got blurry, and I had to go through all the recap pages on Wikipedia on what happened. So I was kind of excited to do this book.
Yeah, and I mean, we have 5 stories or something like that. So it's definitely
a lot going on.
Right. Yeah. It's definitely excuse me, a lot of different stuff going on there.
They do a good job of fleshing everything out for how many different points of view you have to go through.
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. I guess we can start with Anakin and Tahiri, Corran Horn. In our last book, Luke moves the Jedi Temple off of Yavin 4 before kind of as they're being attacked. So they're at a new outpost, Eridu, and no, that's where they were going. Where were they at?
Well, they were on the errant venture starting out, weren't they?
Oh, that could have been. Were they on? Oh, okay, yeah. So they were on the.
And then they were going to take a small shuttle ship off of that.
Yeah, to go
explore
to Eridu.
Yeah.
And while out there, they encounter a Jedi, Kelbus Nu, who is a Rhodian, who is being attacked by the what were they called? Peace Brigade, Freedom Brigade. What were they?
Yeah, Peace Brigade.
Peace Brigade, who are basically Yuuzhan Vong supporters. Nu is killed. He does not survive this attack, but he does give them a planet name, Yugdol, and effectively, like, Anakin and Tahiri are arrested because the sentiment around the Jedi at this point is pretty low. A lot of people are more prepared to turn the Jedi in than work with them, be around them, and all that sort of stuff. So, kind of a bit of an outlaw, turning into a bit of outlaws, so to speak. So they kind of have this little adventure, and Tahiri's going through her own issues with her former capture at the hands of the Yuuzhan Vong, and we sort of see her shouting out Yuuzhan Vong words is like battle cries. She's not 100% yet.
Yeah, she's even uncomfortable around certain types of technology because she feels like she's, essentially committing a sin by using them. And she comments on this multiple times with Anakin.
Yeah, exactly. I guess we can just continue their storyline. We can jump around to the others, but when they leave, they do eventually go to Yagdol, kind of against Corran's wishes. It's like, we're not going to the Yagdol system. I mean, we're going kind of there, It's like it's like adjacent.
Well, I kind of had to jump to a place that would be like 5 minutes down the road from it, so I mean we might as well just go.
Right.
I have to pee and it's the closest stop, so let's just go.
Yep. So they're sort of in they fall in with like a small Yuuzhan Vong fleet, which is sort of they determine is more like a scout fleet. They take a ship. They take one of the ships, take care of the small kind of skeleton crew of Yuuzhan Vong here.
Yeah, I think it mentions there's like 5 warriors on the entire ship, and it's kind of pathetic going through it.
Yeah, exactly. So, and eventually we pick back up with them a little later when we kind of deal with our other sort of problems here. Do you want to go Luke and Mara, or do you want to go like Jaina, Kip, or do you want to kind of pick up with the solos?
Let's go with Han. Yeah, let's go with Han. Yeah.
So this is it's kind of funny because like when you look at just like the Wikipedia sort of like layout of the book, they don't really focus that much on here. They don't really write that up like at all. So
which to me it was kind of the most action-packed portion.
Kind of
a decent portion of the book, really.
Yeah, kind of. Now, Jason is kind of on the run if you think about it. He did have his battle in the last book. He's he's kind of considered like a big target for the Yuuzhan Vong. There's a price on his head. And he's traveling.
Son-in-law really, really wants him.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And the Solos are basically traveling through, essentially engaging in smuggling and piracy, right up Han's alley. And they are pirating from people who are, running weapons, supplies to the Yuuzhan Vong. So they're basically doing the Robin Hood routine, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah, Han even actually runs into one of his old associates in the process, and he ends up trying to betray him for a very small amount of time to give up Jason's whereabouts. And, of course, flick of a lightsaber switch, and he's done with that.
Yeah, exactly. I think the most interesting thing for me about this is that, the sort of conflict that Jason's having still. Like, he's kind of a bit of a whiny baby, and he doesn't really want to fight. He doesn't want to engage in all this stuff. And then eventually Han just kind of like looks at him and is like, look, my ship, this is what we're doing. Get used to it. Whatever. You're not here to tell me what to do. You go do your thing. You want to do your peace monk thing? Great. But this is what we're doing. Jump on the turbo laser or don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's crazy to think with all the influences around him and all that his parents and uncle had to do to survive that Jason turns out this way.
Well, he's just overly philosophical about things, which I guess I get, but yeah, I mean, he's still trying to figure stuff out. And I understand he wants to do, in quotations, the right thing, but what's the right thing?
Yeah, I mean, you can talk all day about how you're trying to do the right thing, but you've seen the horrors of the invasion. You know what the Yuuzhan Vong are doing, so what really is the right thing?
Yeah, it's a tough one. So, I mean, that's kind of, for me, a lot of what I saw in that particular storyline. It wasn't like a ton. Just kind of more the interpersonal between Jason and his father at this point. Leia really kind of she kind of doesn't really play much of a part here.
No, her dialogue's pretty abysmal.
Yeah, but they also run into Yuuzhan Vong as well.
I do like we get a short reference to, and I'm drawing a blank on the book, but their honeymoon, because Leia's complaining about the dog fight, and he's like, well, you always said you wanted to, or no, it's like just like our honeymoon,
right?
You didn't mind that or something like that.
Yeah, what was the name? His false name for ship was like the Princess of Blood. Yeah, that was kind of fun. Yeah. Who are you? I'm the Princess of Blood. So,
okay, I'm done talking to you. Go ahead, move along. Move along.
that was kind of a funny impromptu Han thing. That would be what Han said.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right. Well, let's bang around a little bit more of the sort of meat here. I suppose I think the big reveal is Luke and Mara. So let's do the Nen Yem, the actual sort of like Yuuzhan Vong part. So Nen Yem is a heretic, and we know this from our last book. Her former master was killed, and she was given effectively the title of, I think she was given the title of like Master Shaper by the, it was directly by the Supreme Overlord of the Yuuzhan Vong, right?
It was Sylvan Yaw, or Sylvan Law, wasn't it?
Was it? Okay, yeah.
I think so.
Okay. Well, eventually she does meet the Supreme Overlord, but she's effectively trying to help heal some of these world ships that are dying. The interesting thing about using living creatures is that eventually they die, and when you think about it, it doesn't seem like they have really large lifespans either, because it's not like they've been in this galaxy for very long, but their world ships are starting to deteriorate, and we sort of see this whole thing through this book where they're really trying to build a bunch of new ships and creatures and all this kind of stuff. And when you think about it, it's really not an efficient way to run a fleet, is it?
No, it's not. And you really kind of question, like, like you said, do they really only last this long, or are they just so unhealthy in the atmosphere of being in our galaxy that this galaxy, that they just deteriorate so much faster because of it? And yeah, I mean, they talk it up like it's a quick process, but I don't see how it would be to rebuild this fleet and reman it. You know, you're raising an entire army, and they don't talk about accelerated birth rates and, you know, kind of like the growth process that the clones went through. So it's super impractical in every way.
Yeah, agreed. But Nin Yim is effectively, I mean, she's not having any success.
Yeah.
And
she mentions she needs to enter the next, what do they call it? The cortex system of their faith and knowledge center.
Right.
So she can learn how to save this ship. She has to go past the...
I think
she's allowed to the third or the fifth cortex, and she needs to go beyond that.
Yeah, I think she's not allowed past the fifth cortex, and apparently there are 8. But so she is effectively given a, I don't know what the right word would be, a guide, perhaps. Mm-hmm. In what was that person's name?
Good question. Probably my least favorite character of the book.
K-Quad.
K-Quad.
Yeah, so
didn't like K-Quad.
Well, he was kind of a weirdo. So K-Quad shows up, seemingly a bit eccentric. He doesn't have hands. His hands have been effectively deteriorated or whatever. And the Shapers didn't give him new hands, or so he says. And he's kind of trying to, I don't know, put her on like a basic task, but like, we're going to make the most perfect one of these. And
yeah,
there's a lot of back and forth. It's like, hey, I can make you hands. Hey, I can do this. Long story short, she eventually does go into the 8th cortex. And the crazy thing here is the Yuuzhan Vong believe that they have gods, and that this, whatever this cortex thing is, these are the messages
knowledge
of the
passed
gods.
on from the gods, essentially.
Right. But
specifically, what's the name? Yang Yuuzhan, which is the one that supposedly created them all, is the one that passes on all this information.
Right. And then part of it was like stolen by another one.
Yeah, which ends up being the Supreme Overlord's ancestor, or the person they follows in a weird twist. It's kind of hard to follow.
Well, but suffice it to say that going into this 8th cortex effectively reveals that their gods basically don't exist.
Right, because there's nothing. It's just, clearly this is man-made.
Well, there's no more knowledge at that point, so there's nothing more to it. Now, K-Quad is actually revealed to be effectively the Supreme Overlord's court jester, that he uses in order to kind of spy and do all this stuff. Shamara Jermaine. That doesn't sound exactly familiar, but that's the way I'm reading this off of this page. Shimra, there we go. Anyway, so the Supreme Overlord is actually really interested in what Nin Yim is doing. And basically is giving her free reign. Like, yeah, go be a heretic. It's all cool. I know it's a past the 8 cortex. Nothing. I know totally.
Yeah, supposedly it's seen some vision of her becoming a master and saving the Yuuzhan Vong from themselves, essentially.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. So I don't know. Were you crazy interested by this?
There were some parts about it that were kind of interesting, getting into their belief system and everything. Nin Yim is really one of maybe 3 Yuuzhan Vong that actually interest me. So I enjoy following her story and trying to deal with her people's ridiculous religion and having to circumvent that to actually try and save her people from essentially losing this war.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting character, but the Yuuzhan Vong portions never really excite me a lot for some reason.
Yeah, no, I agree though. I enjoy Ninyam like quite a bit. I think it's a pretty multifaceted character there. I think that the kind of veil of the religion thing is being dropped at this point. And the fact is that potentially with Ninyam sort of going in and trying new things, experimenting, there is a potential for a much stronger Yuuzhan Vong because they've stopped learning, basically.
Right.
And we've seen that, there's no more learning to be done past a certain point, which means that eventually, it's the same sci-fi story as like anything with clones in it, right? Replica fading, and you can't just clone clones and all that stuff.
Will learn how to deal with them at this point.
So I think that'll be interesting to see. And Ninyam is basically ready towards the end of this book to really take it to the Republic. So we'll definitely be hearing more about her as we go along. So I suppose
Nominor is kind of a very small portion of this book, to actually more than I would say any other book up until this point. What do you think about that? Because Nominor is actually one of the very few, like I mentioned, that I enjoy of the Yuuzhan Vong.
Sure. Well, Nominor was, kind of our first touch of like the bad guy here. And then we've got, sort of the War Masters coming in. So we're really just continuing to build on the society and sort of realizing that Nominor he's not as high up.
Super important.
He's important in a way, but like he's also pretty highly doubted at this point too. Because I think it's even the War Master when you go through here, they're doubting what he's saying. It's like, well, you can prove yourself, sure, I guess, but like if you fail, we will probably kill you.
Yeah, they even mention atonement for past issues with not getting Jason and everything. So
I think he's kind of been nerfed a bit, which I don't know. I'm fine with that. Obviously, you have your big bad supreme overlord and everything, which we kind of guessed, but. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine where he is, but he's not the biggest player right now. I'll say that.
Yeah, definitely not.
Yeah. Well, you want to roll into Jaina's storyline then?
Yeah, the very short storyline. Sure. Yeah.
Kind of short. It was.
I guess there's
definitely
a little meat to it. So.
It was definitely.
But it was more. It was almost more meat to Kip's portion of it, though.
Sure. So Jaina, she was blinded prior. She's getting back to health, but has been kind of put on an indefinite leave from Rogue Squadron due to her being a Jedi. Mm-hmm. And we do get both Gavin Darklighter and Wedge. And Gavin is pretty much all in. It's like, well, let's go do this. Let's go do it, Luke. We got to go mess some things up. Whereas Wedge is a little bit more conservative at the beginning of this book. And Jaina is effectively told by Luke to go find Kip. Tells him where to find him. He's around Cernpadol, which was the first planet that we saw in this series where Chewie was killed. And Kip's still out there doing his dozen thing, striking first.
How many dozen he's gone through?
Yeah. How many dozens?
Just want to eventually be like Kip and the baker's dozen.
And the baker's dozen.
Just needed more,
There you go. So Jaina goes out to find Kip. And I did find it kind of interesting that they focused a little bit on sort of the boredom in space travel. Like she's in an X-Wing. It's not like I can like go out and walk or like, shower or anything like that. And that was the whole thing when we start talking about like Mando's new ship.
Yeah.
It's like, it's really fast, but like he's in the tiniest little cockpit.
He's used to having like a bed and, storage for his bounties, and now he has nothing.
Yeah, but whatever, man. I mean, it's hot rod time. It's hot rod time in Mando. He's not a bounty hunter, okay?
Can't afford gas. He's barely making enough to cover gas, but that's fine.
He's not a bounty hunter anymore. That's what the internet says. Anyway, so we go to Cernpidal, we go to the little ice moon, and we find Kip and his friends living in an igloo.
Yeah.
And Kip basically tells her that, so the Yuuzhan Vong have like a world killer weapon. It'll blink out a star.
Yeah, they have the eye of the. I'm sorry, I mean another one.
Yeah.
Another world killer.
The other world killer.
Gotta deal with it.
So Kip's plan is basically to have Jaina come back, propose this to someone within the Republic military, because he's not a very popular boy. So Jaina does just that, and gets Wedge and Gavin in the group involved. Now, what we find out is that the Yuuzhan Vong actually don't have a world killer weapon. They were growing another world ship.
Yeah.
And
Kip just basically wanted Rogue Squadron and everyone else to take care of it for him.
Well, and the thing is it's not like a bad thing to think about. But he lied.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, could you have not just said, "Hey, they're starting another world ship. We should probably deal with it"? Like, who's going to argue that?
Well, the New Republic is kind of not really engaging like they were. But you're right. I mean, world ship's a world ship. But yeah, so Jaina gets a little offended here by that. I mean, she's lied to. But I don't know. I think that's going to happen. You kind of have to take it to them. It's not necessarily what everybody's saying at this point, but I mean, what else are you supposed to do?
Well, I mean, like you just kind of mentioned, the New Republic has been burying their heads in the sand over this entire issue and just don't want to really acknowledge it for the most part. And, you have Jason and a lot of other Jedi just kind of ignoring it. And at least Kip's actually doing something. I'm not siding with him at all, but at least he's trying.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing. It's like, how do you pick sides in this? Really?
There's really no perfect side to pick, which I do appreciate. It's not clear black and white. This is the good guy. This is the rogue member who needs to be brought back into the fold or destroyed. It's just different perspectives.
No doubt. Jaina and Anakin both do eventually need to converge here towards the end of our book. So kind of got to talk about the reason to which they converge. And that is around Luke and Mara's storyline, who are
which is
now
probably the best part of the book.
Yeah, I would say so. But they're now fugitives of the New Republic. They're gonna be arrested because
their little vacation is cut short.
That's
no
right.
more eating.
Because that's what Stone Cold said. So he said it. He did that. Right.
Stone Cold Bothan.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, Luke and Mara are off on their little vacation thing. Mara has a bit of a reaction here, and we realize that the synthetic tears that she's been taking to control her. Oh God, they said it somewhere in the little write up I have here. Something about coom.
Really?
No, hold on. I'm going to eventually. The deadly coom spore, or well, I mean it's like COOMB, so Koomba. I don't know.
Koomba spore.
I just weird TikTok language, but anyway, I just So Mara and Luke Mara's having a reaction. We realize that one, she hasn't completely gotten over the disease that she had. Two, she's taking regular doses of synthetically created tears from that one character that I don't remember their name. And then these tears are kind of like killing the baby, sort of like potentially killing the baby.
Because why not?
Yeah, because
drama.
because of plot. So she has to.
As if that wasn't enough drama, we also have Creefey just dropping more drama on their heads.
Yeah. Exactly. So you're under arrest and you're possibly dying. It's fine.
You have 6 hours. Go to the hospital or get off world.
Exactly. So Mara is, she ceases taking the synthetic tears, which means the disease is coming back. So she's pregnant, potentially close to term, is being poisoned again, and Luke basically is kind of going a little nuts.
He's losing it. And also he's sensing a bit the old Mara that wanted to like kill him at one point, coming back out just ready to deal with everything as aggressively as possible, which is awesome.
Yeah, she was a little angry there. Now, one of the things about our what position did our Bothan there have?
Was he a general?
No, he was the politician. Creefey was the admiral that commands Wedge's group. The guy, we had him in like the first book. I don't remember if he was a senator, but he was the one who in quotations had this arrest put out on them.
Counselor?
Yeah, counselor something. I don't remember his name, but he was a Bothan too. Regardless, Luke kind of expostulates that the counselor doesn't really want him like arrested. He just wants him to go away.
Yeah, plausible deniability. Yeah. That's basically what he wants.
Exactly. So at that point, we realize that there are people who they're not really against the Jedi, but they're trying to be politicians effectively. So lesser of two evils, I suppose, can fit into that. Now, as we go through here, we do get a little bit of a force tie-in here. So Mara is effectively dying. She's at this point dying. They won't induce the labor because effectively Mara won't let them. It's not time yet. But we do get this connection with Luke and Mara. And honestly, even our child here. They kind of form like a Force family type of deal.
Yeah, which is probably my favorite part of the book, personally.
Yeah. They effectively...
Essentially, Mara's only healthy portion, like where she still has strength, is formed a cocoon around their unborn child to protect them from the disease.
And then really through that, they are able to actually defeat the disease. So it's not through drugs or tears. It's actually more through the Force, which is significant because this...
Well, not only just the Force, the power, the potential power of a Force-sensitive family working together.
Yep.
Which is something, of course, not talked about because, most Force users aren't supposed to have children. True. But it actually does show the potential power of that, which is a topic for another day, but definitely something to ponder.
Yeah, I agree. So we are able to banish the virus, and I would say this is fairly significant because really the Force hasn't been much of a tool against anything from the Yuuzhan Vong. But now we're starting to see the cracks in the Vong's armor. I mean, they're big and scary, but now they're still big and scary, but they have cracks. We're starting to see where we can kind of influence our way through this, which is, I think, a positive. And we also have the birth of Ben Skywalker, little Obi-Wan Kebeniker Skywalker. It's good.
Got about 30 years till he turns evil. Old Ben.
Well, he's got about 30 years until he's 60 years old. Don't live on Tatooine, son. It's bad for your skin. Now, one of the I thought this was kind of weird, but it's also, pretty legendsy. So, like Anakin and Jaina and all them, they're feeling this pain, right? And they think Mara is dying, but what they're feeling weirdly enough through the Force is her labor.
And Leia throws it out there. It's like, yeah, I dealt with it twice. With you, little.
Yeah. So, I did like Anakin, classic kid move here. It's like, God, are they all so ugly?
He's
you know,
so,
and looking at the
he's
baby.
beautiful. He's beautiful in the Force, but God, his face.
That's like such a backhanded compliment. You should use that on your wife one day. Just be like, "You're very beautiful in the Force."
And I love Mara's response, like, "Yeah, you were ugly too, you little brat."
Yeah,
I love their relationship. It's so awesome at this point.
that could be a great Christmas or like a Valentine's Day card. You're beautiful. Flip it over in the Force.
And Luke's just like holding in all his rage at that comment. It's like, this is Ben. And if you talk crap about him again, I will probably decapitate you.
I don't know. You know, I think part of the reason why I really enjoy these books is like exactly what you said. Some of the family banter, like everything in the sequel trilogy was very serious. It was all very, very, very
family
serious.
all hated each other essentially. So
yeah, but here we kind of
fun.
right. But here we see like a very tight knit family who is feeling a lot of the same things with each other. They have banter back and forth. You know, even like in the beginning here when Mara reaches out to Jaina to go after Kip, I mean, I think Mara just really genuinely wanted Jaina there. Like she just wanted to have Jaina around. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, the way I like to look at it is, you know, we've all had our opinions of present day Luke and all that, but you know, the reason we love Legends Luke is the playfulness and the personality of Luke, on top of being just, you know, a Force god essentially at some points.
Right.
But you get to see that with the entire family dynamic. They all kind of secrete a little bit of his personality in a way, and that interaction is just so genuine, and it makes every heartache moving forward so much more important than what we had in the book or in the movies.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just this is one of the reasons why this is one of my favorite books, is because of just this whole interaction of Ben being born and the family coming together for this, and the little jabs they have at each other, and
And that's the thing, like everybody is kind of there too. And it's a great feeling. And, you know, we do get things like things just become really dark. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. And we're getting very close to that point.
It's true. But, you know, we're also taking the time to actually explore the family aspect of it too. But it just breaks down to character building. You have to have character building in order to make anything impactful in the long term. You know?
I mean, these characters are so fleshed out. I mean, Anakin. I mean, they even go so far in this book to have Corran actually sit down with him and be like, "Hey, you're an amazing Jedi, but everyone is like following your example, and you're probably the next Luke Skywalker, but you got to tone it back a little bit because you're actually." In a way, without meaning to, you're kind of sending people to their death because they're just following you right into the void and they can't keep up.
Yeah, for sure.
And that you think of Anakin from book one compared to what he is now, everything that he's done, it's a lot of growth.
Yep. Yeah. I don't know, man. I think, again, it just all goes back to, like, when we're reading High Republic, we don't really get to spend enough time with, you know, in quotations, the big main characters at times for us to really care enough about them. And we wind up really latching on to these sort of side characters and so forth and minor characters because they're just kind of more interesting.
But then nothing happens with them, and everything just... It's a sour note because you don't really get a progression from a character you actually care about. Yeah,
and the other thing, too, is it's just nice to see a win every now and again. Like, you can't have just constant crap. Sometimes you do have to have a win. That's
like Alphabet Squadron. You know, you go full emo and everything's so dark and abysmal that you just stop caring. Yeah. You know?
Yep, exactly. So I don't know. What else do we have to say about this particular book?
I don't know. We kind of just went over most everything, and we kind of skipped over the ending of the Jason Hahn portion where they get
Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
super sciencey. I don't. I throw it out there. I don't remember exactly how Jason describes it, but essentially he finds a way to always beat the Dovin Basils by overloading the black hole they form with what was it they used?
I honestly don't remember.
Some type of proton torpedo or something. They just essentially destroy this pocket where they store all the energy, and it just overloads everything. There was some kind of funny banter with that between Han and him. You know, I guess your education wasn't a waste of time after all and all that. But other than that, I mean, I can't really think of a whole lot to go over. I think we kind of hit all the main points.
Okay, yeah. Well, let's then post up to ratings. And so Goodreads, that I always look for books, has this book at a 3.78. 7,286 ratings, if you can believe that. Of course, it's also been out forever. Majority of this first page, I was just kind of scrolling through it. A lot of threes in the actual written ratings, because you have the opportunity to either either just leave a star rating or you know, actually like review it.
Have a thought.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, we did forget that Anakin and Tahiri like kiss.
Oh, yeah, I get called out by Korn and everything about that, and yeah, that was great.
It's like, so why are you kissing each other now? Smooching?
Korn is so. I love Korn, but like, what made him think it would be a good idea to bring Tahiri along on any of these journeys?
Well, it was Tahiri's. It was really Tahiri's. She wanted to go, so he's like, yeah, sure. Sure, Anakin, yeah, you want to bring your girlfriend along? She's not my girlfriend.
She's not my girlfriend. You kiss. Shut up. Hey, you're not my dad.
It's like, you're totally going to kiss her, aren't you? Yeah, it's kind of interesting, some of these ratings.
That seems ridiculously low for that amount of ratings. I kind of wonder. I wonder if it being abridged has anything to do with that. Maybe there's a little too much fluff in the full version of the book. Because the story's solid. I don't get that rating at all.
Yeah, I mean, some of these people largely talk about like too many storylines going on at one time. A lot of people seem to be like almost rating the first 8 books and not just like this book.
Like it's almost the end of the series and they don't realize it's not.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, like some of these people, like this one is like, finally his storyline with Anakin doesn't really have a consistent setup and payoff. It's like, you do realize that like this isn't the payoff of the Anakin storyline. These are continuing characters.
Yeah, not to mention we've already had a much better portion of Anakin's storyline when he saves Mara on a Force planet, but we have more to come with Anakin, so I don't get that comment at all.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand some of these ratings, but like, well, here's one that literally says based on the audiobook and novel, so they did both. Yeah, a lot of people are like, well, it's not bad, but it's not great. Yeah, I just think that the majority of comments I'm seeing here is it just seems scattered and hectic. Like there's too much going on at one time, which I mean, I'll give you that. There were a lot of storyline. I think you could have almost like not had the Han storyline and been okay. You could have almost
a bit of a throwaway.
you could have almost also not had the Jaina storyline, Jaina and Kip storyline. You could have rolled that into something else, I suppose. So I mean, I could see that. I mean, you could have condensed this down a bit more because it's not like it's a huge book.
Oh, by the way, finally remembered his name, Borskfalia.
Hey, there we go. Good call. Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, our counselor-ish guy.
There we go.
Our grandmoff.
Jeez. Well, anyway, so let's go ahead and get into ratings. What do you think? What do you think you're going to give this book, and why?
I mean, I don't want to overrate the book, but I did think it was a really solid story with a cool payoff at the end. So I'd give it a 4.4 personally out of 5.
A 4.4, you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like an amazing book, but we get a lot of cool family banter, a little bit of progression with every character. I would agree that a couple of the stories could have been thrown out and we could have fleshed out more of the other stories, but I also don't necessarily think that the stories needed to be fleshed out. I mean, we could have seen maybe Luke and Mara dealing with Borsk a little bit more and trying to juggle everything going on, but I was okay with the story structure of it. Kind of advances the plot with our new master shaper. I'm drawing a blank on her name now. Ninyam. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, all in all, I think it set up the next book very well, and it was a good end to this 2-part story. It was well written, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it too. I was just rolling through more of these things. It's kind of funny. I don't think that these people I don't think that they get it. I mean, they
like
really
they don't understand the premise of the book.
I just don't think that they understand what's going on. Like, there's a comment on here, like they're frustrated with Kip because he destroyed like a world ship. He's like, well, if it was a super weapon, I would totally condone this. But like, world ships are like thousands of years old and they're living systems, and like you're killing the women and the children and everything. It's like, well, first of all, they were just like growing this one, so it's not new. It's not 1,000 years old at this point. I don't believe.
They're just breeding.
Well, yeah, I mean, but the thing is like, yeah, they're making this one. So first of all, we don't know if anyone's in it, and to be honest, like all the Yuuzhan Vong want to kill everybody. Like, they're not a pacifist race. I hate to say, they're all working in tandem to make sure that
die too, and the children will eventually enslave you. So I mean, I'm not trying to be evil, but what's your alternative? There's no peace to be had with them.
That was just kind of like an interesting comment, I guess. And that was a 2-star review. They really didn't like this book at all. So anyway, to the actual rating. Look, I mean, I liked the book. I thought it was pretty entertaining. You know what? I do really like doing like long books and stuff, but sometimes it is nice to just jump into like a shorter one and just hang out for a couple hours and get the gist of the story. I certainly think it could have been cut down in parts and it wouldn't have sacrificed any of the main basis of the story. But this is where we see Ben, being born. This is kind of where we see, a little bit more of Anakin, a tiny bit of Jaina. We get little bits. It's kind of like a little bit story. It's almost like a collection of mini stories, which I don't mind all that much. Is it the greatest book ever? No. But is it the worst book ever? I would say definitely not. Was it entertaining? Yes. Was it too jam-packed? I don't really think so. I thought it was pretty easy to follow personally. So I'm probably not quite as high on it as you are. I think it's certainly a good book. I think it's worth a read. One of the problems with this is that there are so many books in this series. It's really hard to just like jump in to one. But it's not bad. It's kind of like a little bit of a minor wins book for the good guy side. as opposed to constant losses. So I would say it's fine. It's a fine book. I'm probably just gonna, put it at like a 4 out of 5. I think is fine. I think it's definitely worth a read. I do have to say I wasn't all that big a fan with the narrator as much. I mean, he was okay, but some of his inflections were a little bit meh.
There were some background noises, specifically with Anakin and Korn's part, where they're having like the little headset conversation. You have the background squelching noises, like super annoying breathing.
There was a part in here when the cops showed up on that one planet, and you heard like a dirt bike, like a dirt bike sound effect. I was like, that's bad sound effects, man. That's not good audio book quality there.
Yeah, like you randomly drag and dropped a sound effect that you Googled with no context to where it was going.
There you go. So anyway, I think that's about it for this week. Obviously, we will try and stay as consistent as we humanly can, but things do happen. And we've got a couple of things coming up here, pretty fast. April's going to be a pretty busy month for me, but we'll be sure to cover what we can. But I'll tell you what, folks, if you have stuff you want us to cover, or any theories you want us to talk about, books you want us to read, shows you want us to get into, whatever, you can get in contact with us. We are on the Facebook, not really active there, but it's there. You can send us a message. We'll read it maybe. Twitter at TC Plan Podcast. You can just send us a big old email to tcplanpodcast@gmail.com, and we'll get back to you on it. But yeah, anything else we need to talk about? We good?
I think we're good.
All right, y'all. Well, thank you for joining us, and you guys have a great rest of your week.
And as always, may the Force be with you.